Testing.
Hello. Are we live yet? Is it 4? It's okay. I think it's 5. Awesome. I think we're live. So welcome to our first Kickstarter Live. I'm Adriana, co-founder and CEO of Lilu, and I'm here today with LaShanda, who's an IBCLC, and who we've learned a lot about breast pumping, breastfeeding, and we're here today kind of to talk about breast pumping, breastfeeding, breast massage, and yeah, we're excited also just to talk about this Kickstarter campaign. So thanks for tuning in. LaShanda, first of all, happy IBCLC Day!
Yeah.
It's great that there's a day to celebrate all the hard work that lactation consultants do and supporting moms in their breastfeeding journey. So we brought you a little gift.
Do you want me to open a camera?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to take it out. I'll show you how it looks.
Wow.
It's a collapsible cup.
Yeah.
And yeah, we hope you like it.
Always, I think moms will agree. Anything that's convenient is always great, right? And it will probably end up in my daughter's possession, which all her moms can connect with. So today is IBCLC Day, so thank you. And I always say that the moms do the hard work. I just do a lot of talking and cheerleading, and so I want to put that out there. Yes, we do work hard on our end, helping support the moms. So, but I say for the physical stuff, those moms do all the work, the harder work.
but they need that support. Yeah. But yeah, so can you, for the audience and for those who don't know, maybe explain a little bit about what is an IBCLC?
Yeah. So in the breastfeeding lactation world, there are different levels of support. So an IBCLC, which stands for International Board Certified Lactation Consultant, would be the lactation professional that has the most experience and works with more cases of if there are more issues around breastfeeding. You have a CLC, which is a certified lactation counselor, and they're there to help with latch. IBCLC would be someone who is, if your latch is going well, not only for latch, but let's say baby's not gaining weight, or there's a milk supply issue on mom's part, then we always suggest going to an IBCLC. So again, all across the board, lactation support is great, but if you're having issues, more involved issues, you would want to seek out an IBCLC.
That makes sense. So can you tell us a little bit about your story and why did you choose to become an IBCLC?
You can't see, but she's sitting over on the side. I think like many of us, not all, but many of us have gone through breastfeeding and issues, but I actually didn't have issues with breastfeeding. I just loved it a lot. And with anything relating to breastfeeding, we don't really talk about it in our culture, so we don't really know anything until you're sometimes kind of in it. And it wasn't until I started talking about it with friends and other moms that have gone through that I realized that people were having issues or people don't do it and stuff. And so I started to research that more because I did have such a great experience with it, and I wanted to research more and learn how I could help women have a more positive experience with breastfeeding. So that's how I came to. I always say my little tagline is, I birthed her and she birthed the lactation.
Oh, that's beautiful. So that's really interesting, right? About like talking about how you said sometimes you don't know about breastfeeding until you're in the middle of it, right? So what is your suggestion for expecting parents, right? When should we be talking about breastfeeding and breast pumping, and when should parents be educating themselves about, how breastfeeding is going to be? What's your recommendation?
So I'll just get on my little pedestal right now and say, like, ideally, like in a utopia, we would be talking about breastfeeding and baby care and infant feeding now. So that's why, again, in this situation, my daughter's with me. She comes to a lot of breastfeeding groups with me when I'm working because I want her to see it now. Because, like, with a lot of things, it's what we, it's like habitual, something that we grew up with. And we were a society where this was the norm. We have come to a society where it's not the norm, even though it is normal in the sense that this is what our body do. So, but I know, again, of course, but that's not happening. And, we're working to get there as, lactation professionals and birth professionals. But for now, when you find yourself pregnant, you want to start seeking out, how, if you're intending to breastfeed and feed your baby, like by latching your baby, then as early as possible. So talk to people, right? Start asking questions, take a class. As soon as you can. There are breastfeeding support groups all over. So you can attend one of those groups. You don't have to have your baby. A lot of women don't understand that. And actually, I just did a group today and I had mentioned it, and the mom said, I wish I had known that. And that's we get that a lot in lactation. I wish I had known. Right? So you can drop into a group. So there are La Leche League groups that are peer-to-peer support groups that they're volunteer, so you can drop in. There are, I've started a chapter called the Chocolate Milk Cafe, which is kind of like a La Leche, but geared towards African American women. That, again, it's a volunteer, so you can drop in.
Yeah.
So, and see what it's going to look like. Ask questions, so don't just kind of sit there not knowing or not being sure or waiting until when I have the baby, right? So
I think in our process of building Lilu, like a lot of our research and just those experiences of like talking to moms, typically, right, when we were talking to moms, given our focus of helping moms increase milk supply, it's always moms that are kind of already struggling or having difficulties, but a lot of it is like, yeah, I wish I had known this or that, or I never expected this or that. So I think one of my questions are like, what are some of those misconceptions around breastfeeding and breast pumping that you see kind of come up over and over again?
So the main misconception is that it's supposed to hurt. It's going to hurt. And when either they're latching baby or they put on a pump and it hurts, that this is how it's supposed to be. And if we think about that with any other part of the body, that's not how it's supposed to be. If you stubbed your toe, if you did and you had pain, you would seek a way to figure out how not to have pain. But for some reason, and we can get into that about women's bodies, but we think that this is supposed to be painful. And think about it, if you are doing something and it's painful, you're not going to want to do it for a long time or at all, right? So if you are having pain, then the goal is to seek out help or support to help you not have that pain. So I think the biggest misconception is that this is supposed to hurt. The other misconception is that the baby's feeding all the time. This is not normal, especially in the beginning weeks, right? This is not normal, which leads to it must mean that I'm not making enough milk. Right? So it leads you, down that rabbit hole, right? This dysfunctional loop, like it's hurting, I'm in pain, baby's feeding, I'm not all the time, which if your baby is not latched correctly and feeding all the time and on a bad latch, of course they're going to continue that cycle of pain. So it's pain and I'm not producing enough, which are the biggest things, and which leads to women either not doing it at all, choosing not to do it at all, or choosing to stop because they feel like I'm not enough, I'm not doing it correctly, I'm not doing it right, something must be wrong, my baby's not gaining weight. So those are the main things.
Yeah, there's and it's a vicious loop, right? I mean, once you start down that cycle, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of guilt, and that's one of the things that I found very interesting about how even just understanding that piece of your body, right? That it's stress doesn't help. It kind of inhibits milk supply or milk production. But so one of I think right. A question is, how can you get ahead of those issues, right? How do you not even start going down that hole? So one, we already talked about education, and preparing yourself. But then in terms of like when the baby is there, when again a lot of the moms we talk to, for instance, are returning to work, right, as early as like 2 and 3 weeks after giving birth. What are some tips that you can give to moms, both in the preparation stage and once they're already kind of like building out that breastfeeding and breast pumping kind of routine?
So we talked about the education, right? Knowing what is normal. And a big thing, again, is how it's supposed to feel when it's going good, like a better latch, and how to build that production. So in the beginning, right, postpartum, immediate postpartum, we start our milk production, like building our milk production, milk supply, and you have to do that, the constant feeding, you have to do that for the first 4 to 6 weeks of breastfeeding, because that's when we're building the supply. So when you hear that babies are feeding all the time, it's because they're supposed to, because they're stimulating the breast and the body to make more milk. So it's the education and then the support, right? So don't just sit on the couch at home and not knowing and being in this loop, because it's okay that you don't know, because you've never done this before. And that's why we have positions like this, that's what we do know. So seek out support that's going to help you achieve your goal, whatever that goal is. Another thing I usually say is, if you're training for a marathon, you don't sit on the couch with a bunch of couch potatoes. Right? You get out there and you find your support system, right? So that's pre. What was the other part of the question? The post. After that postpartum is, learn what's normal. So how many times is normal for baby to be feeding? What's the normal diaper output, right? So please don't buy a scale. But you will be doing your pediatrician visits where you'll get weight checks. So if the baby's gaining weight, we know that baby's getting food. But when you're at home in the thick of it, baby's peeing and pooping, right? If they're having the normal output per day of life, then you know that they're getting what they need at the breast. If any of these are a little off, weight gain or diaper output, if the nipples are really, really hurting, that's when you want to seek a lactation professional that's going to help you figure out what's going on and help you make a plan on how to correct it.
Yeah, of course. Then for right, not all moms are able to like breastfeed from the get-go or at some point, right? I mean, thinking when you're setting a goal to breastfeed for 3, 6, 12 months or beyond, what we've seen is that breast pumping does become a big part about that breastfeeding experience. When do you recommend that moms start breast pumping, and also can you tell us a little bit about different circumstances in which moms need to pump?
Well, the major circumstance is that we live in the Western world and everyone goes back to work, right? So not everyone, but the majority of women are going back to work. So obviously when you are going back to work and you're still wanting to give your baby breast milk, you're going to be pumping. And to know that is still breastfeeding in my book, right? So if we're getting breast milk, we're still breastfeeding, right? So, but the tricky part is, how do we maintain that milk supply? Because you can ask any lactation consultant, especially a lactation consultant that's in New York or again any part of the world where women are going back to work. The number one thing we sometimes get is, I think my milk supply is dropped, right? And it coincides with that 3-month mark, which is usually when people are going back to work. Yeah. So, milk production, right, is a big part of breastfeeding. We have to keep up the milk supply. So whenever you're away from your baby, if you just want to take a day and, you know, pamper yourself, God forbid, right? You want and maintain the supply, you have to release milk from the body, and usually that is done by pumping. Yes, these are the original pumps, and people can hand express, but if you're not great at hand expressing, then the next thing would be to be pumping to stimulate the breast, remove milk from the body in order to keep up and obviously feed the baby your breast milk. And then you were asking about other issues. So there are other issues where not just going back to work, but if babies, there's a separation with mom and baby, usually NICU, right, would be the number one thing that everyone thinks of. Then obviously if we want to get that baby breast milk, right, and breast milk is medicine, I always like to say. So when we're talking about breastfeeding and everyone's talking about breastfeeding, don't negate that milk you're making and pumping is your medicine for your baby, especially our little babies in the NICU. So when there's a separation with mommy and baby, obviously we're going to talk about pumping to maintain the supply until we get back together and we can latch. There are situations where babies won't latch sometimes at that point, depending on how long baby has been in the NICU. So again, if you want to keep giving breast milk, you're going to continue pumping. There are issues where babies may not have the tone to stay at the breast or efficiently latch and remove milk from the breast well. So in those cases, we would talk about pumping to maintain and build that supply, to maintain the milk supply until baby gets better, or if that is how the breastfeeding scenario is going to work for that mother-baby diet.
It was one of the research that we found that I found really surprising, and that now 1 in 8 babies in the U.S. is born prematurely, and that trend's only increasing. So, but yeah, so I guess there's many reasons why we strongly believe that it's important to kind of think about how breast pumping can be made more comfortable, more easy. We do find that, kind of like what you said, that a lot of moms around that 3-month mark are experiencing a big dip in milk supply, and again, right, it starts a cycle. It's stressful, and so one of the things that we found is that many moms were either from being advised to do so or just found themselves that it worked, that they would be doing breast massage while pumping. Can you kind of explain to us a little bit why massage is important? How does it help? What is it doing?
So the massaging while pumping is a technique we call hands-on massage. So why massage? Because, no scientific terminology, it just helps. It just gets milk out better. So the pumping, like I was talking about, pumping is great, but we have hand expression as well, right? But again, hand expression takes a skill, takes time to learn, right? So pumping would be the next best thing to go to. But no matter what pump you have, it's not great at draining the breast very well. And there are many companies out there, right, that are figuring out how to hack the pump and make a better pump. But when we have a really good deep latch and an efficient baby, the baby is the best way to drain the breast, right? So when we're pumping, we have to learn to hack the pump in our own way, and that it would be with hands-on massaging, right? So the breast, and I have my little breast right here. Right? The breast, we have milk ducts, right? So we have the lobules that make the milk, the alveoli, right? And then we have milk ducts everywhere. So not just in the breast so much, but all the way up under the clavicle. Sometimes even, I always say, if you feel like you're growing a breast under your arm, right? There are mammary glands there, right? So, and this is for my moms out there that are currently lactating or have, they know what I'm talking about, that you feel, right, that milk is everywhere. So when we put the pump on, right, the flange only hits certain areas, right? So again, they're really great. They've come a long way, right? Google the old pumps from the olden days, right? But pumps have come a long way, but they still don't get and sometimes drain the breast very well. So if you're on your pump and you're still noticing when you come off your pump, you have certain areas that feel hard or may feel like there's a pee under there or something, we recommend really massaging that area, right? Or while you're on the pump, if you're noticing that area of your breast always kind of is a little backed up, right? You're getting that hardness, massage it so it helps drain. Right, so again, the pump is great, but sometimes it just doesn't hit everything. More milk out, more milk made. So you want to drain the breast, right? So your body replenishes that. If you pump and you're not get it fully draining the breast, then the body's not going to get the signal to replenish that, right? Yeah. So sometimes we suggest that after you come off of your pump, go ahead and massage your breasts and hand express, right? Practice your hand expressing to get out a little bit more. Again, especially if you're feeling those areas that have a little bit of hardness to it.
I think for me that was again one of those revelations. Like as a woman, right? I think at some point, like maybe in biology classes, a long time ago, you learn a tiny bit, but you don't really kind of like understand the complexity of like how milk production works and the glands and how emptying the breast is really what triggers that signal to the body to start producing more milk. I think some of the stories that we heard from moms, and when we first started like thinking about breast massage and realizing how important it was, is like moms would be pumping at work typically, again, right? That's like, again, a lot of our research focused around working moms and their pumping schedules. And like sometimes, it's like I would only have like 20 minutes pump and I would like just massage, just, like get in there and like just to pump faster. And but yeah, I guess, right. So we decided at some point, right, that we wanted to focus on one area to improve the breast pumping technology out there, right? Because yes, there's many breast pumps, like you say, have come a long way. And I think because of the modern society and how many moms have to return to work so early, like breast pumps kind of are here to stay. So we do have to just improve the entire space. And breast massage was the piece that we focused on because we could see, like you say, we don't need necessarily even research, even though there is some research, right? But like we don't need more than that. We can sit with a mom who's breast pumping and the massage immediately, you can see what difference it makes in the output. So what in your opinion, right, is could be something that a new product like the Lilu massage bra, like how could it help moms, and which moms do you think it could help?
So I was intrigued when we first met because, like I said, we talk about hands-on pumping, and the Lilu bra kind of helps with that, right? It helps with that because of the mechanism of the bra. It gives you that massaging component. So it could take away that having to hand express after coming off of the pump, because like you were saying, some women don't have the time, right? I get a certain amount of time in the day to pump, right? So if I have to pump for 10 to 15 minutes and then hand express, if I'm not really good at it, it kind of gets all over the place, I'm at work and stuff. So this is a product that can help, just decrease time, and we're always about that, right? Helping decrease time. There are situations too where we definitely, I'd say we as a general for LCs, I definitely tell my clients, certain clients, that they want to do focus on that massage and hand expressing afterwards. These clients would include women that have had breast reduction surgery, women that may have PCOS, which we know is a condition where milk production can be impaired. Women with insufficient glandular tissue, so the mammary glands, they don't have much mammary glands as it is. So all of those situations would be where I'm suggesting pump, as well as working with them to latch the baby very well and have the baby help, but also having them hand express and pump to get a little bit more milk out, because if we already have a situation where production may be impaired, then we want to take advantage of that milk production, especially in that first 4 to 6 weeks, that heightened milk production time where we can tell the body to make more. Because if this is the window we have, we want to make sure that we get out the most production, so our overall will be better.
Yeah, I think again, going back to the research that I mentioned, right? I think a lot of it focused in those early weeks and how establishing that milk supply really early on. Mm-hmm. Again, it's kind of just setting up for instead of the vicious cycle, that virtuous cycle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't know, Eliza, are there any questions or that that you have or the audience has, or anything before I talk a little bit more about the bra?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If there's any questions out there, send them in.
All right, so I think again, there's so much to learn about like breastfeeding and breast pumping, and so much more to do right in this space. But for us, we decided to start with the massage bra because we found that many moms, little by little, were finding out about the benefits of massage, and yet again, like the context in which moms are pumping, like I know it's not recommended, but moms are pumping driving, or moms are pumping we have some moms that are surgeons, and even in surgery, you just don't always have that ability to every single time you pump do that breast massage. So that was our key focus, and that's kind of why we're launching with this first product. But we really do think that we have this amazing opportunity to help, bring also education to expecting parents and new parents really early on, because ideally we don't want parents to be having such a difficult time, as I think an overwhelming majority of parents find themselves frustrated, stressed, and I think that a lot of it can be done with a mixture of education and then of course in good technology that makes it easier. So to wrap up this first Kickstarter Live, for anybody who's watching or will watch, we'd love if you consider backing the campaign. We've been working on this for over 3 years. Over 100 moms have tried the product and tested and given feedback, and we're now in the final stages of production. So we'll be able to start shipping the earliest Lilu bras in May. So for if you know anyone who's expecting, if you you can buy a Lilu bra already for someone you love, for yourself, or also consider getting it for a future mama friend. We all know moms. But you can also back the campaign and support our mission to empowering moms. We have one of those, which we partnered with another awesome startup to have these collapsible coffee cups. So for all of us who are on the go, you can be a hands-free hero and support hands-free pumping. So please back our campaign and definitely tune in for more. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank
you.
Where to find me?
Oh yes, please. Of course. I was like, I knew it.
Can I just say, did you say they get this cup?
So for you can either back us for people who are not pumping, they can back us and get this for $29 is a reward that people will get?
I just always have to tie everything back to breastfeeding. So if you do get the cup, if you want the cup, you can give it to a mom who's breastfeeding, because I always say when the baby's on, you want to make sure mom's hydrated too. So
That is true.
always tying everything
Very
back
important.
to the boob.
That's a really good tip. But yes, also, LaShanda, how can moms find you? Like, we've already had moms that have worked with you when they had like milk supply issues or concerns or questions, and how can moms find you?
So I'm here in New York City. My company is called Uptown Village Cooperative. So we are located in Harlem, and we service Harlem, the Bronx, Washington Heights, of the upper areas, but we travel all over. And our main thing is working with everyone, families in this birthing world, educating and supporting them.
Yeah.
So we are Uptown Village Cooperative, and it's uptownvillage.coop. We are on Facebook at Uptown Village Cooperative and on Instagram at Uptown Village NYC. And you can find me directly at Uptown Village LC for lactation present, Uptown Village LC at Gmail.
Okay, and also it's not only lactation consultation, right? It's also doula.
Yeah.
What other services?
Yeah, so we have doulas, birth and postpartum. People don't think about that, but the postpartum is a big part as well. And we do childbirth education, we do prenatal breastfeeding classes, we do newborn care classes. So again, the whole spectrum. So from birth, then we want to see you all the way through.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.